The sky is falling! Games Workshop have reversed a policy of years! They have completely dropped their nasty old aggressive monetization and decided to instead embrace pro-consumer practices. In short, they've finally said, sorry. Okay, so they haven't apologized in a baby voice. And they haven't really changed either. But they have kinda made some steps towards getting better, at least according to some, which is a fair change of conversation from all the doom and gloom that was taking place back in the early days of 2022. You remember it, at the beginning of the year? Games Workshop started off 2022 with a bang. They announced the new season model for Warhammer 40k. AKA, we all get to be strapped to the Wheel of Pain and experience the joy of giving Games Workshop all of our money every couple of months. You know, if you want to play Warhammer 40k with the most relevant rules. So forgive me if 2022 felt like it would be nothing but chains, choked pears, and ignoring safe words. It just felt like the second movie in any trilogy series, where all hope seems lost and the Dark Lord reigns triumphant. So why now am I talking about Games Workshop getting better? Well, it's true, they have kinda been doing good stuff. They recently released a PDF of all the light rules for Kill Team, and even gave us the unit stats for a wee Primaris Space Marine warband. And then this was followed up with a sock-shaking change to Warcry. You know, their fantasy skirmish game. There is none other. Games Workshop have, shock horror, made almost the entire rule set for that game free, including the rules compendiums for all of the different factions. And all of this has been released digitally via PDF. This is what the people want. Finally, day of days, things have gotten better. But, a question, why now? I can't let this go. Could there be perhaps a sinister explanation for all of this? Yeah, is the answer. Yeah, it's Games Workshop, unfortunately. The sad fact of the matter is that these free rules only serve to reveal a new fundamental underlying truth about the business model of the Games Workshop skirmish games, and how Games Workshop have pushed the medium in such a way that it could spell disaster for miniature wargaming. And at the very least, has massive ramifications for other games, including Warhammer 40k. Something that I personally am really worried about and really don't like the look of. But first, okay, I have to admit, in a vacuum, making all your rules free, yeah, fundamentally, that's great. And in a PDF, no less, is really good, especially for hobbyists who are visually impaired in some way. PDF screen readers are often the only way that they can engage with those rules by themselves. This is something that I have been asking for a really long time now. So that's what you get, Games Workshop. You get a really aggressive clap. Providing free digital rules makes your games more accessible. It allows people to try them before buying in, which gives it a fighting chance in a hobby where you have to sacrifice your children and swear an oath before the dark gods in order to afford the funding for your very first game. So making it free is more consumer friendly. It's just a better deal for us. And frankly, this is what most other miniature war games provide. It's pretty in line with the rest of the market. Most other miniature wargame companies can't quite get away with monetizing their rules to the same extent that Games Workshop do. Unless those rules and stat sheets are the only things that company sells. And when, for example, the new version of Kill Team launched, there was a lot of consternation in the community about the buy-in required for that game. You had the Octarius launch box, which was fucking massive, and then to play anything other than the Vet Guard or the Orc Commandos which came in that box, you had to buy a second book, completely separate to the box set, called the Compendium. And that book was filled with, let's be honest, teams. Ones that had no real interesting mechanics and were basically placeholders. So that all sucked, and people were annoyed. And honestly, I feel like these free rules that are being given out now would have been more welcome back then. You know, when the game first launched. But all the early adopters like me, aka the chumps, forked over the cash for the rules. Games Workshop made their money, and now the rules are free. Okay, whatever, I don't care. Things are better now. great. It seems like Games Workshop have learned their lesson, at least with Warcry, at least, which is getting a new edition soon, because they're giving away all the rules for both Warcry and Kill Team. Sort of. They're not giving away the unit stats to the Kill Team gangs. They're selling those separately in a 2022 annual. And though a lot of the Warcry Warband stat sheets have been given away for free, the most recent ones haven't. It's not 100% yet, right? Like, things can be improved. There's still improvements to be made. But nevertheless, it means now that the rules are cheaper now. Right? Right? Well, here's the massive fucking elephant in the room. They ain't. They're as expensive as ever. And the free rules don't make a dent on the price tag of these games anymore. And why is that? Well, it used to be the Games Workshop hated skirmish wargaming. As a business, they had no interest in it. Why would they? In skirmish games, you play in rule sets designed for like 10 little toy soldiers. But 10 little toy soldiers is less than 100 little toy soldiers. And Games Workshop are in the business of selling little toy soldiers. So it's simple arithmetic. Between these two rule sets, which ones do Games Workshop give a wood nickel about? Yeah, no prizes for guessing correctly. They have never really cared for skirmish war games, even as an accessible entrance point into their larger army games. Games Workshop experimented with Kill Team 18. That game was sort of designed to let you experience a scaled down version of Warhammer 40k. And the hope at the time was that you would play that game, you'd fall in love with the core gameplay experience, and you'd want to scale your skirmish games up to a 40k game. You'd want to buy in all those armies. But Games Workshop realized, why bother? The 40k starter sets are basically as soft a launch as any war game really needs. And to be perfectly blunt, the further the Games Workshop can keep players away from the core gameplay experience of Warhammer 40k, the better. Okay, it's not exactly the best war game around, or average. It's pretty low down there. But since around 2015, skirmish miniature wargaming has really started to take off. Games like Infinity from Corvus Belli really took off. Frostgrave as well, that was released in 2015. Those games did really well. And don't get me wrong, it's not as if Games Workshop are worried that they're gonna lose a bunch of market share from Infinity. But, I mean, they did see an opportunity to create a specialist design studio back in 2015. And that helped rebirth some older IPs. You got games like Kill Team, Necromunda, Blood Bowl. And these games were all little experiments. They were little dips of toes into the water, into the little tiny pool of skirmish wargaming. But ultimately, these smaller games, they've always been a bit of a side hustle. A cheeky little bit of fun on the side, like a well-paid concubine. And Games Workshop have always struggled to find a way as to how to make enough money from those games as to really care about those games. I mean, sure, Necromunda ended up with 40,000 books, but before all that, you could just simply buy the core rules of Necromunda and a single box of Escher Gangers, which were relatively cheap for a Games Workshop product. And then you could pop off and play a pretty serviceable version of Necromunda. And it's why the game started to do pretty well. And this is the good thing about skirmish war games, right? They have a lot of upsides for consumers. They offer a good deal to us. They're very accessible, so even people who exclusively played 40k, or people who had never played a war game ever before, i.e. people who were only ever interested in 40k, could be convinced to try skirmish games. And they're games that don't require a massive 6x4 table. You can just play them on a coffee table. And with skirmish games, you're encouraged to personalize your models more. And overall, the experience tends to be a lot cheaper. And ultimately, they appeal to an almost board game or RPG game sensibility. And it's why I love skirmish wargaming so much. And Games Workshop have spent the last 7 years perfecting ways to remove all of these benefits from skirmish wargaming and optimize how to sell small-scale wargaming to consumers in such a way that you once again require your own private island in order to afford to play it, in order to buy in and keep up with the cool skirmish wargamers. The ones who are always chucking dice in the alleys. Why can't that be part of your gang, guys? And we can see this because, yeah, sure, okay, Games Workshop have released the rules for Kill Team for free, and they've given away the stats of a Primaris Kill Team gang, sure. But they haven't given away the rules to the relevant version of the game. No, see, when they give away the rules for Kill Team, the expectation is that you will want to play the current version of Kill Team, i.e. Gallowdark, the new season. There is a reason why these free rules have been given away right now. Right as Games Workshop are prepared to release their Into the Dark Kill Team box set. Because it turns out that those free rules are merely a helping hand onto the Wheel of Pain. I should have known! It's the Warhammer season model! 2022's promises kept! What we are now bearing witness to is Games Workshop correcting a mistake. See, it used to be the Games Workshop would separately sell you terrain that you'd need for your next game. Or they'd leave it open for you to source it separately. Maybe buy some MDF terrain or some plastic terrain from a different seller. Or make it from trash. It's a creative hobby after all. In fact, way back when, Games Workshop actually used to provide guides as to how to make terrain for your games. They don't do that anymore. But then Games Workshop realized, "Doy, what am I thinking? We're leaving money on the table." GW have now, in their infinite business savvy, decided to apply the season model to more than just the rules, new warbands, or even new miniatures. Now, it can be applied to terrain as well, especially if you make that terrain integral to the core experience of the game. Just like the new season of Kill Team. The new Kill Team box set and the next year's worth of Kill Team box sets is set on the Gallowdark, a space hulk lost in the void of space. And as an environment, it's made up of all these different zones, which lead to different mechanics and themes that players could explore on the ship, which sounds like a ton of fun. And don't worry, to help you explore this, every single massive bundled Kill Team box this year will be linked through a collection of different thematic zones, allowing players to grow their terrain collections throughout the releases. In other words, this means that for every single Kill Team box set that costs hundreds of dollars, they can get every single Kill Team player to buy in, even if that player doesn't care about the 2 exclusive warbands inside. Games Workshop will still get those players to feel a ton of FOMO for box sets that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Because the terrain inside will be relevant for everyone. Don't you want the Gallowdark complete experience? Or, to put this all another way, Games Workshop have worked out how to separate content that would be a core experience of the game and sell it incrementally over an extended period of time at a much greater expense than we, as consumers, would otherwise accept if it was all sold at once. This is basically the boiling frog school of economics, and it's working. It's a massive way to bring in a ton of money, and it's gonna put a ton of pressure on consumers at the worst possible time. 2023 is not looking great. In fact, it's looking pretty fucking grim. And yet the greatest innovation the Games Workshop have managed to achieve this year is working out how to monetize skirmish games such that they can bring in as much money as Warhammer 40k. Warhammer 40k, the most expensive miniature war game on the market. Oh, so yes, it feels like my initial despair for 2022 was indeed correct. Even the good things end up being a f***ing mummer's trick. Editor, can you please put me on a Denethor throne? It's the steward one, not the big throne. Thanks. Oh, Games Workshop, with your left hand you would give out free rules, and with your right you would seek to monetize the fuck out of consumers. And I've mostly talked about the Gallowdark and Into the Dark today, but Games Workshop recently announced that Warcry would be following along in the exact same footsteps as Kill Team. So yay! Welcome to Grrr, the land of beasts. and plenty of money. And plenty of fun environments to explore in the form of massive box sets. And so, to be fair to Games Workshop, giving away the free rules is good, but it's an easy win for them. Because really, they already sold us the rules to Kill Team and Warcry last year. This year, it's all about Gallowdark, it's all about Grr, and selling the rules on the expensive terrain to those environments. We are now entering into a brave new world of skirmish wargaming. The era of the season subscription-based wargame. Woo! Welcome to your free-to-play Games Workshop future, where some of the rules might be free, but you're gonna be like 6 expansions behind everybody else. So best get your wallet out if you wanna keep up and play the relevant game. Because Games Workshop know that hobbyists will want to play the current edition of the games. The most relevant rule sets. Because yes, I can hear it twinkling on the stars. I can hear the Games Workshop apologists crying out right now. You don't have to buy the new boxes in order to play the game. But look, you don't need to buy the new edition of Warhammer 40k either. But when you go down to your local club, how many people do you see playing the 6th edition of Warhammer 40k? Compared to, say, the 9th edition of Warhammer 40k? People only started playing 7th edition again because a new version of those rules came out. People play games that are relevant. Games Workshop unfortunately command what is relevant. Mostly. And now, that relevance is determined by what is the latest release in what is essentially a subscription-based model. Every 3 months, another box, with new warbands and new rules. So this is Kill Team, Gallowdark, the perpetual payment plan, the recurring revenue stream, the game where you have to buy everything, even if you don't want it. So what's next? Premium app subscriptions for Warhammer 40k? Yeah, probably. I mean, that's likely in the pipeline. In fact, we already saw another miniature wargame company release their own premium subscription service required to access some elements of their game. Something which I argue vehemently against here. And as always, a huge thanks to my patrons, especially Sonic Bread and Beauregard Equipment. And it's only thanks to you guys that I'm able to dedicate my full-time attention to the channel. Thanks so much. And so for viewers out there, please do consider supporting the channel via Patreon, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye!